Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Garvey and I'm a comic creator from the UK. Over the last 5 months or so, I've been sharing my comic making process from start to finish. So if this is your first time to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, which I think is either on that corner or that corner, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, because I truly believe if I can make comics, anyone can. And in this video, we're going to be discussing why when you start to get your comic pages back from your artist collaborator, I want you to stop and take a breath, and there's a very good reason for this. In fact, even before you've sent this script off to your comic artist collaborator, we need to dial this back a little bit further, because once you finish your script, you've done your first, second, third, your final draft, before you send it to your collaborator, I want you to stop. And the reason I want you to do this is because when you start to make your very first comics, well, even when you're like me and you're 10 years in, it's very easy to get swept up in the excitement of making that comic. And when you get too excited, sometimes mistakes kind of slip through the cracks that could be easily nipped in the bud now. So every stage of this comic making process, I want you to stop and take a pause. I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I talked about collaboration, where, if you're not working with an editor, you need to be the project manager of that comic, and that's true. So every aspect of that comic as it gets made, you need to stop, you need to come back, and you need to look at it with a critical eye and make sure everything is perfect before it goes to that next stage. So when it comes to the actual script stage, what I want you to do is when you finish it, if it's a physical copy, I want you to put it into a drawer, or if it's on your PC, I want you to click save, and then I want you to walk away for at least 2 days. I don't want you to even think of it. I don't want you to read it. I just want you to go, do you know what, that's done, I'm going to leave it there. Then in at least 2 days, I want you to go back to that script and I want you to have another read of it. Is every element that's meant to be there? Because, as I said before in this channel, if it's not in the script, the artist doesn't know to draw it. Are there elements for the colorist, to be aware of? Is the spelling correct for the letterer? Because, you need to be all of those things. You need to manage this project from start to finish, and you need to go through every single section of this comic and make sure everything works and everything is on point. So once you've come back, you've had a look at that script, with a critical eye, only then can you send it off to your artist collaborator to draw. And when you start to get those pages back from your artist collaborator, I want you to take another break. And I'm not talking another 2-day break, because that's not fair on your artist collaborator, because let's be honest, they've probably fitted this in amongst other projects that they're doing. So having to wait 2 days to let you give them a thumbs up to say the page is okay is not on. What I'm talking about is like a couple of hours maximum. So when you get the pages through, go back to the artist straight away and go, receive them. They look absolutely fantastic. But I'm looking at them on my phone at the moment. Can you just give me a couple of hours, open up the PC, just have a look, just make sure everything's okay before we go to like inks and colours and let's onto those next kind of stages. And then what I want you to do is I want you to turn your phone off and I want you to turn your laptop off, and I don't want you to think about those pages for at least, half an hour to an hour. Go and make a cup of tea, cup of coffee, maybe in, your new favourite mug from your favourite YouTube channel, link in the description, that's even empty. But what I want you to walk away from them, and I want you to come back and look at those pages with fresh eyes. And by fresh eyes, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the story on those pages. Because at this moment there's no letters, there's no colours, there's nothing. But can you, if you hadn't written these pages, can you tell what is going on from panel to panel? Is the story flowing? Is everything you need to be there? If it is, fantastic. If not, now is the time to go back to your artist collaborator and go, I don't think that's right. We need to add this element in, that's important to the story, that kind of thing. But you should have put this in your script beforehand and put it in red if it was very, very important. But, but now is the time to catch those changes that need to be made now. Once you've done that, have a look at the anatomy, because art is very labour intensive. Comic artists will work on a page, 10, 12, 14 hours, and sometimes they can't see the wood for the trees, and they're so, labour intense focused on a page. Sometimes they miss certain things. So if you pick up like a perspective issue or an anatomy issue that's that's wrong now, an artist will appreciate it if you pick it up so they can make those changes before we go to the next stage. And on the flip side, you may have noticed something that you should have added into the script that completely slipped your mind. Like in the last scene, if the main character's got like a knife and he's going to stab someone, and you've not introduced that knife anywhere in the script, it's your fault. You should have put it in the script, but now is the time to make those changes. So be critical, have a break, but have a look at those pages, with a critical eye, and make sure everything is okay before you move on to the next stages. But remember, if you are going to ask for, changes on the page, don't be a dick about it and be realistic about the changes that you want to make. You know, you can't turn around to your collaborator and go, hate the page, redo it all, that kind of thing, because that's not fair on them, because you know you've chosen to work with them. And the only way you could do something like that is if they've gone off on a complete tangent and not followed the script at all and done their own thing. In my 10 years of making comics, that's happened to me once, and the artist apologized and said, I just got carried away and, you know, did my own thing and then redid it, you know, the way it should be. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. So, you know, don't ask the artist, you know, to redo the entire page. You know, we're talking about tiny tweaks here, so don't be a dick about it. Be polite and just ask for the changes that you actually need to make the story better.